Many different martial arts specialists have ascended to the top of MMA. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling in particular have produced the most MMA champions. But despite being one of the premier striking sports on the planet, kickboxing has been poorly represented in mixed martial arts. That was until Israel Adesanya captured and held the middleweight title with an iron fist. Now a nemesis from his kickboxing days threatens to overthrow the king, and the name of that contender is Alex Pereira, a native Brazilian with a left hook so good that it seems unfair. He throws it short, effortless, and without any wind-up. Despite that, once it connects, world-class fighters turn into lifeless bodies. Of course, Pereira is no one-trick pony. His jumping knees are as dangerous as his hooks, and the right cross very often stings the opponent harder than anything else. A simple combination of three equally dangerous weapons, with sufficient ways to set them up and an inborn destructive power, turned Alex Pereira into one of the most feared kickboxers on the planet and propelled him into the title contention in the UFC in just his 8th MMA bout. Let's follow the path of Alex Pereira, from the favelas of Sao Paulo to the heights of kickboxing and MMA. Alex Pereira grew up in the urban jungle of Sao Paulo, but his lineage is from the real Amazon jungle. His family comes from indigenous Brazilian tribes that inhabited the land before any foreigners stepped on it. He is a proud descendant of this tradition, and his nickname, Poatan, which literally translates as hands of stone, comes from Brazil's native Tupi language, rather than from Portuguese. As you might expect from a kid in a favela, Alex's upbringing wasn't a privileged one. Nothing in his early life could have predicted that he would become a world champion athlete after dropping out of school at the age of 12 to work at a tire shop.
Minha mãe, dona de casa, e comecei a trabalhar cedo, né, em uma borracharia, com 12 anos de idade.
Com 12 já fazia.
12 anos de idade, fazendo trampo ali de adulto, entendeu? E, pô, quando eu tô disposto a fazer algo, eu quero fazer bem feito, né? E quero ser um cara completo.
After nearly 10 years of work, Alex realized that working hard labor and consuming up to a liter of rum per day wasn't a life worth living, and sought an escape from the deadly habit. He discovered it in kickboxing, which he began at the age of 21. In addition to fighting skills, Pereira also learned more about his heritage in the gym and began drawing strength from it. He fully embraced his roots, and aside from a deadly left hook, he is also as impressive with a bow and arrow. Alex knew he was naturally good at fighting, even before he first stepped into the gym, from the many street scraps he was involved in.
E fazer nada.
Vai brigar na rua.
Aí eu falei, pô, brigar eu já briguei, pô, eu levo o jeito, eu vou, né? Então eu procurei a arte marcial, que foi o kickboxing.
But once he started learning the craft, his inborn power and instincts quickly became evident, and he started competing just a couple of years after his first training sessions. His early kickboxing career and alcohol addiction, however, went hand in hand, and despite that, he still managed to win a title in WGP kickboxing. Stacking up regional wins, Pereira quickly found his way to the pinnacle of kickboxing in that period, Glory. Entering the middleweight contender tournament at Glory 14, Alex would show the world the weapon that would become one of the most feared strikes in combat sports today, his deadly left hook.
Big shot from Pereira. Jacoby could be hurt.
With which he knocked out now fellow UFC fighter Dustin Jacoby.
That's what's doing it, and just keep hunting with the hands like that.
Shot from Pereira drops Dustin Jacoby. Can he get up? That is all. Dustin Jacoby is out. Alex Pereira is moving on to the finals. What a shot.
It was not all smooth sailing in Glory, though. In the next few years, Alex fought in Glory, WGP in Brazil, and a few fights in China. But while he won in the latter two, he lost most of the Glory fights. What most MMA fans are interested in from that period, though, are his two kickboxing fights with the most dominant UFC middleweight champion since Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya. The two clashed for the first time in China in 2016. Alex took home the decision win. A year later, Adesanya would travel to Brazil to avenge his loss, only to be brutally knocked out by the famous Pereira left hook. While this was Izzy's last kickboxing fight, Alex's best days in the ring were yet to come. The most impressive title run in Glory began at Glory 46 in China. Alex stripped the middleweight belt from Simon Marcus in a great 5-round battle, where the combination of left hooks, right straights, and knees proved too much for the Canadian, who barely survived to hear the judge's decision.
Another knee from Pereira, and a couple of punches, and Simon Marcus in real trouble.
Doesn't have to hold back anymore.
Oh, and a right hand, and again, Simon Marcus off balance. This has been a fantastic performance by the Brazilian.
And new Glory middleweight champion of the world, Alex Pereira!
Just a couple of months later, Alex defended the title against Yusri Belgari, who had actually defeated Alex earlier that same year.
And there's another one! And Belgari looked like he almost went down. He's wobbly right now. Pereira closing in, and he gets a shot off after the bell.
The fight ended somewhat anticlimactic.
On a right hand, buckles Belgari. He almost went down. Can Pereira close the show? Belgari, and it's over. Instantly, the doctor says no. It's done.
But in 2017, Powhatan would put an exclamation mark on their rivalry with a one-punch KO in the first round.
That may be it. He one-punch walk-off knockout.
As I mentioned, it's that right
6, 7, 8.
It's over.
Forget about it. And still, Alex Pereira, the middleweight champion of the world.
The Brazilian followed that success with another convincing defense against Simon Marcus.
That left kick landed. And now Simon Marcus. Oh, and he got caught with a left hook.
Finds the placement perfectly.
Big knee. Simon Marcus still trying to come forward, and he makes it to the end of the round.
In 2019, Alex got one of his most satisfying wins in kickboxing when the man who defeated him twice prior, Jason Wilness, challenged him for the middleweight strap. This time around, Alex would get his revenge in emphatic fashion, knocking out the Dutchman with his trademark flying knee.
Jeez, what power that Pereira has.
And now Pereira going for the finish. What a leaping knee. Down twice is Jason Wilness. He doesn't know what's hit him.
It's those
And that's it. It's over. Easy work for Powhatan Pereira.
That's that completeness. That was a head kick for the first one, and then he came in with a flying switch knee to the head. There's Alex Pereira for you.
With the middleweight divisions cleared, Alex decided to go up in weight and challenge for another strap. The current champion, Artem Vahitov, had to withdraw because of injuries, so Pereira had to fight Donegi Abena for the interim belt. Abena fought well, but the onslaught from Pereira was too much. At the end of the third, Alex unleashed his equalizer and face-planted Abena to become the first ever Glory simultaneous two-division champion.
Abena's hurt.
Got him with a left hook. Abena eats a knee now, trying to hold on. Can Powhatan put him down? And that is a knockdown. Oh, no! He's done it! He has done it! Glory's first ever two-division simultaneous world champion, Powhatan, with his 20th professional KO.
The following fight was a quick middleweight defense. Ertuğrul Bayrak was just about to survive the first round when Alex pulverized him with his perfect left hook.
No, his nose is already bleeding. And a left hook right at the bell, and that is it. Hands of stone. Alex Powhatan Pereira.
That left hook. That's his dangerous strike. I knew it took one or two more, and that was right on.
Middleweight champion champion of the world, Alex Pereira!
Alex finally fought Artem Vahitov for the undisputed light heavyweight belt in 2021. The pair had a great 5-round battle of the highest caliber kickboxing, where Alex won the split decision and the undisputed titles in both divisions. Vahitov would avenge his loss and reclaim the belt in a very competitive fight a few months later, but Pereira was already preparing to transition into MMA full-time, with his UFC contract already signed. Pereira's first foray into MMA happened in 2015, which for the record was before he fought Adesanya in kickboxing. Despite being a kickboxer, he showed a surprising amount of skill on the ground, nearly finishing the fight with a submission before finally succumbing to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Quemio Otani, via rear naked choke in the 3rd round. In 2016, Alex fought a couple more times in the cage, scoring 2 vicious TKO victories under the Jungle Fights banner before focusing entirely on kickboxing and producing his legendary Glory run, which we already covered. In 2020, Pereira was invited to help fellow Brazilian and MMA legend Glover Teixeira in his training camp and got a taste of MMA once again, reigniting his passion. He wanted to fight in MMA, but his Glory contract did not allow him. As his reputation and leverage grew, he was able to negotiate an MMA fight under the LFA banner while still kickboxing for Glory. His return to the cage turned a lot of heads, and even more so after he annihilated Thomas Powell with the left hook.
Over and out!
That's the power. Holy.
The power of Alex Pereira on full display in his Legacy Fighting Alliance debut.
Pereira went on to have the 2 fights with Vahitov, and just a day before the second fight, it was already announced the Brazilian had signed a contract with the UFC and would transition fully into MMA. Welcoming him to the UFC octagon was Andreas Michailidis at UFC 268. He did what was expected of him against the best kickboxer in the world and relied exclusively on his grappling.
For Michailidis, this is an excellent opening for this fight. Yeah, look at this.
And you want to show that I can stand with the striker. Why? Go and take him down and make him wrestle.
Controlling the entire first round, and just when you would think that there would be 2 more rounds of grappling, Alex exploded at the start of round 2 with his precision missile of a flying knee and scored a highlight KO in his UFC debut.
Speaking to it, all the clinch and the grab.
Oh, my goodness! Alex Pereira! That's what I'm talking about. How good is that? Wow! That's what I'm telling you. It's a different kind of power.
Pereira's move to 2-0 in the UFC required him to show a lot more of his arsenal and heart. Bruno Silva proved to be a tough nut to crack, and the 2 Brazilians went to war for 3 rounds. The pair were throwing heavy leather early and often, and Silva even managed a takedown in the first. But the damage from the otherworldly power of Pereira was stacking up with each minute that passed. Poatan kept it tactical and technical, while Silva was throwing for the fences and threatening with grappling. In the third, Silva was heavily rattled by the powerful barrages, but managed to survive until the final horn to lose a clear 30-27 decision on all cards.
He's getting teed off.
Silva is covering up, and Pineda is foot on the gas pedal.
Like the heart.
Brawl here in the final 15 seconds.
Oh, he just broke his nose.
Pineda trying to find the finishing touch now. Oh, and another shot from Silva in return. Gotta love the action.
Your winner by unanimous decision, Alex Pereira!
The UFC gave Pereira a huge chance to skip the middleweight line, and despite still being unranked, matched him up with the number 4 ranked middleweight, Sean Strickland. Strickland was understandably a slight favorite and pushed the pace fearlessly, but heart alone couldn't save him. For some reason, Sean decided to fight with an upright stance and his hands down against one of the most dangerous strikers in the sport, and paid a heavy price. Halfway through the first round, Alex touched his exposed chin with the trademark left hook and quickly finished the job with a right straight, elevating the Brazilian into the title contention.
Good, because he's...
Oh! That's what I'm talking about. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Declaring the winner by knockout, Alex Pereira!
Alex, you made it a quick night of work here against Sean Strickland. Ranked number 4 in the division, and you made it look easy. Is that exactly what you expected tonight?
Minha intenção, eu treinei muito para isso, eu sabia que ele era cara perigoso, eu estava muito atento a isso e o trabalho foi bem feito.
Absolutely was my intention. I trained super hard to fight him because I knew he was a very dangerous guy, so you saw the result.
As we quickly approach the battle between Pereira and Adesanya, we must put the 2 kickboxing wins of Alex into perspective. The first fight that went into a decision was razor close and could have gone either way. While in the second fight, Adesanya got Pereira hurt badly and was clearly winning before he fell victim to the eraser left hook. Furthermore, this time around the fight is in MMA, where Adesanya has had tremendous success and has looked untouchable at middleweight. The matchup between the 2 old rivals has sparked a whole new dynamic in the division, which Izzy already cleared thoroughly, and it makes sense why Pereira gets a title shot after just 3 fights in the UFC.